A shocking truth has been uncovered, and it might be the very cause behind the horrifying massacre aboard Air India flight AI-171. Once hailed as Boeing's pride and the symbol of 21st century aviation technology, the Boeing 787 Dreamliner was expected to redefine premium air travel. But behind that shimmering facade lies a shocking truther the world only discovered after deep investigation. A series of recent alarming incidents has forced aviation authorities to step in, and what they uncovered inside the 787's structure was not only unusual, it shook the global aviation industry to its core. A technical detail strictly prohibited across the entire industry was found inside, and worse yet, Boeing knew about it and chose to hide it. So what exactly was discovered? How could such serious technical faults pass through multiple layers of safety inspections? And more importantly, what is truly happening inside the aircraft once celebrated as the Dreamliner? Don't take your eyes off the screen. The truth behind Boeing's dream to fly might just change the way you see it forever. Following the tragic crash in India, investigators uncovered a serious flaw. The emergency ram air turbine RAT on a Boeing 787 had deployed on its own while the aircraft was parked, despite no incident or malfunction occurring. This is a system that should only activate during total power loss mid-flight, a last resort survival scenario. The root cause was traced to a fault in the central power converter, which falsely signaled a full electrical failure. If this had happened in the air, the aircraft could have lost communications, disabled navigation, and automatically switched to emergency mode. What's most alarming, Boeing was aware of the issue during testing, yet failed to warn airlines, didn't release a software update, and never issued a recall, effectively gambling with passenger lives to protect its reputation. During a post-flight inspection after a 13-hour journey, engineers found suspicious stains on the mid-cabin floor of a Boeing 787. The stains were located right above the ENE bay, which houses the aircraft's entire electronic system and central control core. At first, it was dismissed as simple condensation. But after insulation was removed, they discovered that water had seeped through the floor and directly into the ENE bay. This area must remain completely dry to ensure the operation of control circuits, power supplies, navigation, and safety systems. The source was traced to damaged O-rings in the lavatories, allowing water to leak under the floor. One airline even reported a damp cockpit carpet. Boeing later stated it had redesigned the components and was working to upgrade the fleet. But this wasn't the first time. Leaked internal documents revealed the FAA had already received multiple reports of similar incidents. These included water leaking from toilets, drinking water tanks, and even emergency drainage system soil potentially dripping through insulation and directly into the electronics bay. Boeing had been warned by internal engineers since the production phase. But rather than resolving the root cause, they opted for temporary patches, issued more frequent inspection instructions, and essentially acknowledged the issue without fixing it. The real danger isn't just water, it's what comes with it: dirt, bacteria, and microscopic metal particles from manufacturing. When combined with moisture and high-voltage systems, these issues can create hotspots or short circuits. They may also lead to signal interference or even mid-air failures at altitudes over 10,000 meters. After several serious incident reports from airlines, the FAA issued a mandatory inspection directive for the 787's entire drainage system, especially near the cockpit and ENE bay. But even the FAA admitted this defect is extremely difficult to detect, as it lies deep beneath the soundproof floor in a space rarely accessed unless something goes wrong. Now, as deeper inspections continue, older flaws are resurfacing, more severe, more widespread, making one thing clear: they were never truly fixed, just hidden. Soon after the RAT incident, engineers conducted deeper inspections into the structural components of the Boeing 787 and uncovered something even more alarming. The forward pressure bulkhead, also known as the aircraft's life wall, was improperly installed. Rivets were the wrong size and some joints showed signs of internal corrosion. Initially deemed a minor defect when discovered in 2021, the issue became increasingly common by March 2025 as more 787s entered service. At a testing center in Texas, engineers removing insulation for routine checks found numerous misaligned drill holes, rivets that were too short to anchor into load-bearing structures, and most critical evidence of corrosion in high-pressure zones, which is strictly prohibited. Worse still, these weren't isolated cases. Upon further investigation, multiple 787s produced around the same time at Boeing's South Carolina plant displayed similar flaws. This particular factory had previously been accused of accelerating assembly lines and cutting inspection steps to meet tight delivery deadlines. The FAA was forced to issue a mandatory inspection directive requiring airlines to remove insulation, perform endoscopy, and use industrial imaging to detect microscopic gaps, corrosion, or even foreign objects left during assembly. What makes this especially dangerous is the location. This bulkhead sits in the highest pressure area of the aircraft's nose. If it ruptures mid-flight, cabin pressure could drop to near zero in seconds. Oxygen masks may not deploy in time, the crew may not react fast enough, and no one would understand what had gone wrong until it's too late. Following multiple manufacturing issues, Boeing announced it had repaired more than 120 Dreamliner fuselages. It also officially shut down its Shadow Factoria site where faulty 787 components were secretly disassembled and fixed without public disclosure. However, whistleblower and Boeing engineer Sam Salihpour revealed a disturbing reality. Many flawed joints were not removed and reinstalled properly, but instead forcefully compressed into place using mechanical pressure just to make them fit the mold. These joints are located in critical load-bearing areas that endure immense stress during takeoff and landing. Over time, such shortcuts can weaken the structure, and since the damage is invisible from the outside, it's nearly impossible to detect until something goes wrong. Originally hailed as a technological breakthrough, the Boeing 787 faced a global safety crisis in 2013. Its lithium-ion batteries overheated and caught fire, leading to the grounding of the entire 787 fleet worldwide. Japan Airlines, United Airlines, and other carriers reported risks of overheating and electrical short circuits near the battery compartment. The crisis peaked with a fire on board an Ethiopian Airlines 787 parked at Heathrow Airport, where investigators found poorly insulated wiring beneath the battery, which had caused a short circuit. Although the incident caused no fatalities, it dealt a severe blow to the 787's reputation. It also exposed serious flaws in Boeing's inspection and certification process, casting doubt on whether the aircraft's electronic systems had ever met truly robust safety standards. Not every part of the Boeing 787 is manufactured by Boeing itself. An investigation revealed that MPS, a subcontractor in Italy, had supplied substandard metal components. These were used in load-bearing areas beneath the cabin, floor-critical zones that support both passenger and cargo sections. It's estimated that up to 500 Boeing 787 aircraft may contain these questionable parts. The danger lies in the fact that low-grade alloys can slowly degrade under constant in-flight stress, and if they fail silently, a catastrophic incident could occur without any prior warning. Why have such critical defects continued to slip through multiple layers of safety inspection? Why were internal engineers ignored when they raised concerns early on? What's being exposed now is merely the tip of a long-standing cyclone where a defect occurs, a temporary fix is applied, the plane continues flying, and then another issue emerges. It's a loop that has persisted for over 10 years, with no real end in sight. And if Boeing doesn't initiate deep structural changes soon, then this latest warning might be the final one. As early as 2013, the Boeing 787 faced its first major crisis. 2 aircraft caught fire due to overheating lithium-ion batteries. This incident forced the grounding of the entire global fleet. Boeing spent hundreds of millions of dollars redesigning the power system and confidently declared, "This will be the last incident." But between 2020 and 2024, dozens of 787s were found to have structural gaps in their fuselage. Rather than issuing a public recall, Boeing quietly repaired over 120 aircraft in so-called shadow factories with no disclosure to passengers. By early 2025, just as the problem seemed resolved, forward pressure bulkhead defects resurfaced, prompting the FAA to issue mandatory inspections. Each fix, it seemed, only set the stage for the next failures, if another hidden fault always lurked within the 787's frame. Serious incidents have occurred repeatedly in recent years. In March 2023, a LATAM-operated 787 suddenly lost over 120 meters in altitude within seconds, throwing passengers into the ceiling and injuring flight attendants. No error message was issued by the control system. The investigation found that autopilot misinterpreted a combination of engine thrust and pitch angle, triggering an unexpected descent. In another case, a United Airlines flight reported a failure during landing. The captain's seat got stuck, leaving the pilot unable to reach the pitch control. This forced an emergency handover to the co-pilot. The root cause? A worn mechanical joint, a tiny component not even included in Boeing's critical inspection checklist. Though no fatalities occurred, the pattern of near misses has deeply shaken trust in the Dreamliner. The root of the issue isn't just technical, it lies in Boeing's internal management culture. After its 1997 merger with McDonnell Douglas, Boeing slowly shifted from a company run by engineers to one driven by financial executives. Decisions were no longer made in the factory floor, but in boardrooms. Technical safety and internal warnings began to be seen as obstacles to delivery speed. Seasoned engineers who spoke up were reassigned, silenced, or pushed out. Some became whistleblowers, speaking out publicly as a last resort to prevent disaster. A leaked internal report revealed a chilling fact: entire rounds of inspections had been skipped simply to meet international delivery deadlines. Despite growing criticism, Boeing continues to insist that the technical issues do not directly impact flight safety, but that claim is losing credibility fast. The FAA, once a close technical partner, has begun issuing independent and deeper inspections. Meanwhile, major airlines in Europe and Asia have started hiring independent auditing experts, no longer relying solely on Boeing's reports. According to FAA data, each inspection of the 787's forward pressure bulkhead costs about $850 per aircraft. With the entire US fleet under review, inspection costs alone have exceeded $115,000, not including repair expenses, operational disruption, and downstream impacts. Boeing now faces far greater consequences: delayed deliveries, disrupted customer schedules, severe brand damage, and plummeting stock prices. By the end of 2024, the company's CEO was forced to resign, triggering a complete corporate restructuring amid a storm of public distrust. As Boeing struggles, Airbus has been steadily reclaiming market share. The A350, the Dreamliner's direct rival, is increasingly favored for its stable design and clean safety record. Many airlines once loyal to Boeing are now splitting their orders or switching entirely to Airbus. At the heart of the crisis isn't just flawed engineering or rushed production. It lies in Boeing's prioritization of profit and delivery speed over safety warnings. The silencing of engineers, the oversimplification of inspection procedures, and the continued release of reassuring public statements while issues persisted all created a dangerous gap. That gap lay between reality and the trust passengers placed in the company. Today, Boeing's crisis is no longer just technical, it's a crisis of trust, because the core ingredient for flight is not just enginettes, it's confidence. And the most frightening part? If nothing changes, the next aircraft to suffer a serious incident might not be as lucky as the ones before.